Governor Gavin Newsom cracks down on COVID, issuing a new stay-at-home order that will impact the state by region. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Barbara Lee Edwards.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. The governor's announcement comes as COVID hospitalizations and deaths have been on the rise, and he expects that things will get worse. News 8's Shannon Handy has more on the upcoming order and what it entails.
Carlo and Barbara Lee, at this point, we can't say exactly when this stay-at-home order will start, but based on the numbers and what the governor said, it could be within days. And that means more businesses will close and people will be required to stay home unless it's essential.
We need to meet this moment head on.
California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a regional stay-at-home order Thursday following a consistent and alarming surge in COVID cases and deaths.
A month ago, on November 2nd, we reported tragic loss of 14 lives related to this pandemic. In the last 24 hours, similar to the previous 24 hours, we've reported back-to-back days with 113 deaths.
The stay-at-home order goes into effect within 48 hours once a region's ICU capacity falls below 15%. San Diego County is part of the Southern California region, where that's expected to happen as early as the next day or two.
The bottom line is, if we don't act now, our hospital system will be overwhelmed.
The order calls for a ban on non-essential travel as well as gatherings with anyone outside your home. Bars, wineries, personal services, hair salons, and barbershops will have to close. Meanwhile, schools already operating, critical infrastructure, retail at 20% capacity, and restaurants with takeout and delivery only can remain open. The governor also encouraged people to continue exercising outside, alluding that state parks and beaches can stay open as well.
We encourage you to take your dog for a walk. We want you to exercise and go on a run with a partner within your household. Go sledding, these outdoor activities in the winter, to the extent a walk on the beach or out in our state parks.
Newsom acknowledged the toll this order will have on all residents, including small businesses. He addressed the funding currently available to help. He also spoke about the vaccine, saying California will receive more than 327,000 doses in the coming weeks.
We will get through this. This is the final surge. We have a light at the end of the tunnel.
And those doses will first be given out to critical health care workers, followed by residents in long-term health care facilities. If you'd like to watch the whole news conference, we have it up on our website, CBS8.com, or on the News 8 app.
Thank you, Shannon. The latest numbers from the county show 1,504 new COVID cases. That is out of more than 26,000 tests reported. About 6% positive rate there. Hospitalizations increased by 43. ICU patients up 14. The county also reported 5 deaths. That brings that total to 1,040. And there were 12 more community outbreaks. That makes 89 in the last week.
Firefighters are struggling to gain the upper hand on an explosive wildfire in Silverado Canyon near Irvine. The so-called Bond fire started with a house fire and it quickly spread to nearby tinder dry brush. Thousands have been forced from their homes as fire officials estimate it's grown to 7,200 acres. 2 firefighters were hurt this afternoon. Their conditions are not known. That fire remains 0% contained tonight. A small brush fire in San Marcos was kept at just 3 acres today after sparking up near Sycamore Drive and Cox Road around noon. Twin Oaks Valley Road was shut down in the area while crews hit the fire from the ground and the air. It was contained within an hour. Firefighters remained on the scene throughout the afternoon, mopping up and watching for any hot spots. No one was injured. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Some heart-stopping moments for some in Rancho San Diego when a fast-moving brush fire forced them from their homes last night.
Flames broke out around 10, not far from the Cottonwood Golf Club. Crews were able to hold the fire to about 30 acres. 1 home was destroyed, 6 others were damaged.
Today, the family of the lone house lost returned to take a look at the damage and what was left. News 8's Brandon Lewis reports.
Carlo and Barbara Lee, bomb arson investigators have been out at the scene trying to figure out exactly what sparked this fire. You see the aftermath just over my right shoulder here. This house is where the cleanup effort is continuing. It is destroyed by the fire. Several of the surrounding homes nearby here also had some damage from the fire, 6 of them in total. As residents and firefighters say, they are grateful this wasn't much worse.
This guy's roof was burning, smoldering. I was up there, doing my part, try to help out. So more people need to do that.
Residents rallied near the Willow fire to fight back embers. Darren Schneider grabbed garden hoses to put out hot spots.
Jumped up there, hosed his whole roof, got all those embers out, soaked the neighbor's house, helped there. And then behind me, there's an alleyway, a chute, and it was just a waterfall of sparks.
The Willow fire destroyed one home and damaged 6 others, scorching 30 acres before firefighters got it under control.
I've never experienced a fire in this close. I mean, literally within walking distance from my home. So it was shocking to see that.
The winds made the fire especially challenging, but also helped at one point because it shifted the fire away from other homes. Gusts reached 94 miles an hour at Sill Hill and 95 at Big Black Mountain. By morning, Highway Patrol shut down the 8 east to trucks, causing a miles-long backup.
You can't drive in the wind like this because the wind is too hard. Because if you are low truck, it's heavy to go. But if you're light, you can go nowhere.
SDG&E preemptively turned off power to tens of thousands of customers as power lines fell in the East County, and it could stay off for several days as the risk of repeating a fire elsewhere fueled by embers remains high.
They were flying everywhere in this neighborhood, so we were very concerned about homes catching fire, them landing and creating hot spots, fires in other places that the firemen couldn't get to. It was just mayhem last night.
The good news is that there were no injuries in this fire. SDG&E says they will continue to monitor the conditions and turn back on power as conditions warrant. However, the red flag warning will remain in effect through Saturday. Carlo and Barbara Lee.
Thank you, Brandon. Meantime, more than 55,000 San Diegans are without power right now because of those heavy Santa Ana winds. It forced public safety power shutoffs from SDG&E. The utility says nearly 40,000 customers in communities from the South Bay to North County are still at risk of having their power shut off tonight. SDG&E says 17 of its weather stations have set all-time wind speed records so far, the highest clocking in at 94 miles per hour.
Those power outages have also forced some schools across the county to close today. Many districts are monitoring the situation closely right now. That includes Poway Unified, which first floated the idea of continuing in-person learning, but ultimately decided it was not the best option.
With the COVID protocols and some of the safety measures we've been taking, we had no HVAC, which was essential to good ventilation. Once we realized that the power wasn't coming on anytime soon, we decided to cancel classes.
And even with distance learning, students have been without power. For a complete list of closures, you can head to our website, cbs8.com, or you can download the CBS 8 app. We've learned the CHP is closing Interstate 8 at Willows Road to some vehicles because of the strong wind there.
How much worse is the wind going to get? Is it going to get worse? Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis is standing by with an answer for us. Carlene?
Well, the plus side is we had the strongest winds earlier today. So we had that in the overnight hours, starting to creep up last night and then still this morning. Now we're talking about winds that are still going to be gusty at times, but they're going to come down in those totals. Taking a look at current wind speeds, you are seeing sustained wind speeds, double digits right now for Ramona, the same for Mount Laguna and Boulevard at 14 miles per hour. But we still have the gusts picking up in areas that we're seeing with 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts for Alpine right along the 8. That's going to stretch in with those gusts even towards Boulevard at 17 miles per hour, 32 right now for Ramona. Surrounding areas right along the coastal mountain slopes, we are picking up on 30s and 40s. As Brandon had mentioned, we had some really strong gusts, very high, and also these top 3. They were the highest in all of Southern California with this recent wind event. So taking a look at those gusts, they will stay high, even potential for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts right along the mountain slopes into 11:30 tonight. But the worst of it, that was this morning. We'll go ahead and take a look at your complete forecast coming up. Back to you, Carlo.
Thanks, Carlene. Stay with News 8 for continuing coverage on the latest fire conditions and power outages. You can follow our social media pages, download our app, and visit cbs8.com for updates.